Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah, and this is the Doc Force. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I've got an amazing show tonight. Amazing friend. Well, a lot of you, I'm sure, know who he is. So we'll get into that in just a bit. But yeah, we're gonna go a little long tonight. So be sure to share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Get it out there, because this is gonna be an awesome show. I'm really stoked. Oh my goodness, we've got a whole bunch of people already in the chat room. We got Tina Mobley. Hello, Tina. Good evening. Good evening. We've got Edward Sosa is here. Namaste. Welcome. Tina says, nope, just starting. Yep, just now. Paul Marsh, the man. He created the countdown that you saw. That's him, Paul Marsh. Thank you very much for showing up. And let's see, we got Dave Dennis from Australia. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Excuse me, Claudia Rodriguez. You've been excited about this show, I know. So welcome. Hey, Doc and Doconians. No one's ever used that one before. I've had Docettes for the girls, all kinds of, but never Doconians. Interesting. Digging it. All right. Yo, Bump's back. Hey, Alien Bump, how are you? How was your 4th? It was actually pretty decent. It was actually really good. Did a parade yesterday morning. We did the parade. A little on edge because we had an issue with a bad scenario in the past year with a bicycle race with a truck taking down some people. So some people were on edge, but it went well. And unfortunately, we heard of the news that happened later that day. And just prayers out to all those families and people involved in that event. Let's see. Tina says, been with you since earliest AM and hanging again. Yes, that's right. This morning, for those who didn't know, can you believe it? I was up at 5:30 or no, 6, and was on the air by 6:30, and we were rebroadcasting the CERN Hadron Collider turning on for the first time in 3 years. It was really exciting. We were all waiting for the end of the world to have a big black hole and 4 horsemen. But nothing happened that we know of. Let's see. Who's it? Chalet? Am I saying that right? I hope I say. If I ever say anybody's name wrong, please forgive me. But welcome. Good evening. Welcome aboard. Jules is here. How are you? Terry Reesing, one of the original OGs in the house. Good evening, ma'am. Catherine Wright from Oregon. Hello, Catherine. She's been on the show. So yeah, you should check out that episode. Let's see. Glad you like Doconians. It's different. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Alien Bump or says I'm still like here. Well, cool. You said you missed this morning though. Yes. Yeah, it was really early. 4 p.m. Geneva time, but it was interesting. Everybody made their comments. I did my laughing. It was fun. It made it go by a lot faster because a lot of it was science talk. And what was really is none of them really knew what was going to happen or what they're going to do with it. It was very vague, but we witnessed history this morning. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. That's fantastic. Elise Marie's here. Hello, Elise. All right, so there you go. There's the early birds get the worm. So, you guys ready for this? The bio is extensive, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing. You check him out on IMDb because it would take me a little bit. He has done so much for the art of cinema, TV, communities. He's done a lot, and I've had the honor of working on a film with him, and I just fell in love with the guy. He's awesome. And he's been on the show. Actually, he was in the trailer. He's in the trailer, the opening trailer that you see. So his name is Carlos Carrasco. He's from Panama, and he's done some amazing things here. and he's been in a lot of movies you might recognize, TV as well. He was the one that most people recognize is Speed, and several others, including like Fisher King. But there's one that he is known like no other film, and that is by the character of Popeye from the movie Blood In, Blood Out. And we're going to talk about that hopefully a little later. We're going to talk about his projects that he has coming up that he's going to need some help with. Maybe you guys could do that. So there's so much I want to say, but I'm just going to use this time and bring him in. Everybody sing hello. Just making sure it's Big Tokes from the West Coast. Welcome. You came in the last second. Dave Martin, thank you very much. But let's do this right now. Ladies and gentlemen, someone I'm glad to call my friend, Carlos Carrasco.
Hey.
How are you, sir?
Hey. So happy to be here. I have a question.
Yes.
Am I now an official Doconian?
You would be the first. Yes. I used to have, when I was singing, I had these little backup singer females, and then they were called the Docettes,
Right.
Yeah, the Doconians. It sounds like Draconians, but it's not. Yeah. So it sounds cool. Wow. Yeah.
I have another question. I love your set. Is all of that real? I mean, you look like you're driving the Starship Enterprise or something.
This is the Starship Pariah, which means outcasts.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But we'll talk about Star Trek too, as a matter of fact.
No.
This has been the set, you might say, for a while now. I'm hoping that I can bring it to life, you might say, in the coming within the next 6 months. I'm hoping.
Oh,
I think it'd be really cool to bring it to life.
Okay.
With some other people. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe I could come and sit in one of those chairs in the back.
Oh, you would be automatic permanent cast member. Absolutely. We'll talk about I really want to make sure that the people around here we get to the ball or get on ball about your project that you're doing. It's coming up here soon, and it's a really great thing for the film community, Latino film community. And I got goosebumps. I wish, can you see that? Look at that. I got goosebumps.
Ooh.
Just talking about it, because let me tell you, brother, we are going to talk about Blood In, Blood Out tonight. Okay.
We are.
Yeah, we're gonna. Oh my God! The double goosebumps. And I will do the confession to you about that whole thing here in a little bit. But
okay.
Make sure that everybody knows about this wonderful thing that you're doing.
All right.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Well, you know what? I mean, this started almost a decade ago because, I'm originally from Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And Panama, when I left, there was no film industry. There was none of that going on. But, since pretty much the year 2000, the film industry down there has really, really started to grow. And then at a certain point, I thought, wow, it would be great because here I'm Panamanian. I'm in Hollywood. I know people. Right. Maybe there's a way that I can make some connections and build some bridges and stuff. And then it just seemed like a good idea to maybe put on a little bit of a film festival, to screen some of the stuff going on down there, maybe try to create some connections with people up here, kind of a cultural exchange. And it started really small, really tiny. I was really fortunate to have a partnership in the very early days with another film festival called New Filmmakers. And, they've been at it forever, and they kind of mentored me in the art of film festivalizing. And so I kicked it off, and we've had a pretty good run. It got to be really good. The last year, right before the pandemic, I had the pleasure of screening Turnover as part of the festival, the film that you and I were involved in.
Yeah.
And I'd even won a big trophy, and then I thought everything guns blazing, we're full speed ahead. We were getting sponsorship, we were getting funding, and then the pandemic came.
Yeah.
And everything shut down, and then film festivals started going online and so forth. And I had some grant money that I had to spend, so I did it online that year. hated it because it's just not the same. I think film festivals are meant to be live,
In
people
person,
meet, yeah,
right?
in person, you talk to people, you have a drink after the film, all that sort of thing. So then coming out of the pandemic, but then the other unfortunate result is that all my money went away.
Mhm.
The grants all dried up, the sponsors disappeared. I mean, pandemic hit hard. And then last year, it was rolling around again, and people really like this festival, so they were like, "Hey, when's the festival? What are you gonna do? When do we send stuff in?" And I'm like, And I was talking to my good buddy Juan Escobedo, who also has another film festival. He has the East LA Film Festival, also, like a small boutique film festival dedicated to
Okay.
that community.
Mhm.
And I was like, Juan, I don't know. I can't do it, man. I'm not feeling it. And he's like, I know, Carlitos. Suppose we partner up. Let's do it together.
Mhm.
And we'll hold each other up. And that's what we did last year. We put the two festivals together and called it Take Two, you know. And, we managed to put on an event. It was fun again. It was live. It was great. And then as soon as it was over, we both went, oh, can we possibly do this again? So
Mhm.
going into this year, I've had other friends say, you've got to do it, man. Come on. We're behind you. We're going to help you. And I'm like, but I don't have any money, And then I started working with this wonderful organization called Avenida Productions, run by another filmmaker, Fanny Grande now, and her husband. And they specialize in crowdfunding. They have it down to a science. And they said, Carlitos, you can do this. We'll help you, because they create the template. They give you, I literally get an email every day from them saying, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do that? And I run
Mhm.
away from the emails because I hate it. I'm like, oh, no. It's so out of my comfort level. I've never done this kind of thing before. But so many people, the energy of so many people saying, this is an important thing, man. You need to keep doing this, and we will help you. So I'm in the middle of a crowdfunding challenge where I am supposed to raise 20 grand in 30 days. I got about 15 days left. And boy, I'm in it, man. Every day I get up and I'm doing DMing and I'm doing stuff and everything. So I really appreciate you having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk about this. We don't have to stay on this all night. And you are very kindly, I see, running the website on the bottom of the screen. That is,
Yeah, little comments and stuff. And
yeah,
someone was here when she was talking about,
I
yes.
see Martina. I
Yeah,
know
I
that lady.
know,
Hey,
Martina.
Martina. Hey.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so we both live here, and she puts on the Sholo Film Festival each year.
Mm-hmm,
And so she knows how to do that. She's really
mm-hmm,
good at that. Um, and I am so grateful to her. I've told her this over and over again. She kind of begged me to come down to Long Beach to film. I was like, I came up here to get away from it all and the whole business. I want to just kind of live in a cabin in the woods kind of thing. And she's like, well, we could give you some lines. And I'm like, and she goes, well, there was this food fight. I'm like, where do I sign? you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and because of that, it opened up so many doors, and opened up so many relationships with such amazing people as yourself on the film. Um, and
I
I am
love
forever
working on that
grateful.
film. One of my favorite
Oh
projects.
yeah, oh yeah, and the fact that it was the crew is mostly women, they got shit done. I mean, that's Martina's term is GSD, getting shit done.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so it was an amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful because, like I said, I got to become friends with amazing people like yourself. Now now when is this again? Did you say the date already?
Okay. Well, the film festival itself is going to be the last weekend in September. This particular crowdfunding initiative, they have it all down to a science, and they do it in a very narrow window. I have 30 days to do this. I
Mhm.
have 15 days left from today.
Okay, so you need some help.
I need some help, please, people. I'm begging you. I'm down on my knee. No, I mean, it's like anything is appreciated, but that's kind of what's sort of taking my attention right now. But
Mhm.
I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Just just looking at the IMDb, you got a bunch of stuff, even stuff that's in the works right now. Wait, hold on, let me get to. Oh, I'm stuck in Blood In, Blood Out. Let me.
Mm.
Out of here. But we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about that. Shoot, where did the doohickey thing that tells me where all your films are?
Oh,
Down
wait,
here. Here they are. Either way. All right. So, okay, here's the confession.
oh yeah, yeah.
I,
And I want to hear about the goosebumps.
I saw the first part, the beginning part of Blood In, Blood Out until the car scene where she strips, and that's where Mom turned the TV off. So the movie, this is 93. I mean, actually, no, I was still in high school, but she came in and it, I had to turn it off. Never saw it again.
Okay.
I have been in San Quentin for the past half of the day today. I didn't know that Blood In, Blood Out was the first binge watching film. It's so long. I mean, it's 3 hours and what, 10 minutes?
I don't know what length it finally may have landed on at this point. Do you want to hear the story of the length of that film?
Well, yes, but oh my gosh, dude. It was like watching The Godfather. It is one of my favorite films now. And I wasn't old enough to appreciate it back then, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody talks about you and Popeye, and I just, you're Carlos, you're my friend. My celebrity friends, I don't go off about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna have him on tonight, and I keep hearing Popeye. I got to go back, and I look back. I was like, okay, I do remember this somewhat, and then I remember getting, having to turn it off because of the car scene with the naked woman, and so, watching it all, it was totally worth it. I had to take one break to like stand outside because it got so intense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk about all that. Yes, but I also want to tell everybody, look at the link below that's on the bottom of your screen. That's where you can go to help support Carlos in this project. And it's going to be in what town?
Here in Los Angeles.
Okay, so
it's going to be in Los Angeles. And this is a plug for the people that are helping me with this. It is going to be at their studio, Avenida Productions, which is a full-service film studio in downtown Los Angeles on Beverly Boulevard. And they have just created this wonderful magical space. They've only been there about a year. Everything is brand new. They have office suites, they have dressing rooms, they have a huge screening area, and they have permanent little sets, like you got the church set, the judge set, the grocery store set. You can go to Avenida Productions and make your movie. And they will help you raise the funds for it. And they are going to host the festival this year, because they were one of the first people that I said, I don't have any money. And Fanny, very generous, she said, hey, do it here. We'll just lower a screen and we'll have a film festival right here. They've done it before. So it's going to be in downtown LA.
Fantastic. Wow. And now, is that the main website for the event, or is that for the fundraising?
Well, if you really want it, the festival is available on different platforms. If you would like to submit a film to the film festival, it is listed on Film Freeway.
Okay,
so Film Freeway is great. And look for the abbreviated version of the name is PIFFLA, which is Panamanian International Film Festival in Los Angeles. You can find it on Film Freeway, or you can go directly to the festival's website, which is PIFFLA.com, PIFFLA.com, and that is the actual website for the festival, which will also will have links, for the fundraisers and all that sort of thing.
Wow. And trying to think, the important thing, what's the deadline to get your films in? Or is that on Film Freeway? Can they find? Well, let's send people to Film.
Yeah, that's all on Film Freeway. At this point, I think the submissions have been open for about a month, and we may just have crossed the early bird deadline. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot of time.
Excellent. For those that don't know, filmfreeway.com is the place to be when you're in the film festival circuit. You're trying to get your movie out there. You want to get it judged in festivals. It's this amazing website, and I've been involved with it on multiple projects or multiple events. So Check it out. Let's see.
Tell
All
me
right.
about the goosebumps, Doc.
Okay. Well, that was the goosebumps. Was that I was so touched by this movie today, man. I mean, I was emotionally invested in it. At first, honestly, at first, right out the gate, having Damien Chapa,
Mm-hmm.
having him come across as the Latino, the accent and everything, I was sitting there going, oh, but then you watch it, and it was like, it only took me 10 minutes to start seeing where this is going. He was related and he grew up there. I thought he was kind of just, trying to be cool with him at first, but then you realize he's family
Mm-hmm.
and this is in his blood, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And just his voyage or his story, as well as others involved, your character's story, and the fact that this is a true story about a poet. Help me out here. Poet's name was
Okay.
Jimmy Santiago Baca.
Jimmy Santiago Baca was the main screenwriter on the film.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the authenticity, the grit in the writing comes from Jimmy's own life experience, And I'm not saying anything out of school here, telling any secrets. Jimmy's the first one to tell you that his story, his personal story, is fascinating because, in his own words, he grew up young and he thought he knew everything and he was bad and he was actually running drugs and stuff in the Southwest. And he got busted, and he did hard time. Jimmy went he did about 6 years of real hard time, and he learned that life and everything. However, sometimes you hear these stories. He did find redemption in the prison by reading, because as he tells the story. And by the way, there's a wonderful documentary that came out about 2 years ago about Jimmy's journey. And he tells in it where he was visited in the prison by one of these missionaries. That they go into the prisons and try
the prison missionaries, yeah.
Right, and the man gave him a Bible, and he said, "Here's this for you. Try to read it." And then Jimmy, at first, he was, "What is this?" But with so many hours, to burn, he started trying to read the Bible, and he discovered that he couldn't read it, and that there were so many, as he says himself, he had a catch as catch can education. And there were so many words that he didn't know. And then the next time the gentleman came back, he said, "Could you do me a favor? Could you bring me a dictionary?" And so he got a dictionary. And then he started reading in earnest and looking up the words and looking up the words. And that's how he really, really started to learn language. And then he discovered this innate gift that he had for writing. So he started to write, and pretty soon he became the prison script guy. And the other cons would come to him, and he would write their letters home, and legal things and everything. And that's how he started exercising this craft of writing. And along the way, he discovered that he loved poetry. And what Jimmy really is a poet by vocation. He's got about, 6, 7 published collections of poetry. And then Taylor Hackford, who directed Blood In, Blood Out. Taylor is a legend in Hollywood. He is an award-winning director. You would know him from films going as far back as An Officer and a Gentleman.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, Taylor Hackford. By the way, married to the lovely, lovely Helen Mirren. I'm sure you know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Taylor, Officer and a Gentleman, Ray. Remember Ray?
Yeah.
Just Taylor. And Taylor was even the head of the Directors Guild for a number of years. Taylor is a native Angelino, and he came up in documentaries, like literally with the local PBS station and stuff.
Right.
So he's really into that. He has a real affinity and appreciation for the Latino and the Chicano culture. And this project came across his table, and he took it up. And there was already a version of the script. He was not happy with it, and he knew about Jimmy, and he brought Jimmy on board. He said, "Dude, I need you to go through this thing and give me some Jimmy Baca in this writing. And the script that eventually ended up being produced was Jimmy's script. In fact, I always tell people, because I lucked out. I had only been in LA about a year.
Really?
New York, yeah, when I had the audition for this thing. And I didn't really understand it or know what I was getting myself into or anything. And then lo and behold, I did get cast. Because when I would read it, I was like, what is this? I don't understand all these expressions, and yet
it didn't feel natural to you.
It was just new to me. I was, I was from Panama via New York, via, filtered through the Puerto Rican and Dominican Cuban culture on the East Coast. I land in LA, and then I get, sent into this very, very specific culture and the world of this film. And I was like, oh, what are all these words? And it turned out that a lot of those words were Jimmy. And Jimmy's language and Jimmy's stuff that he got from listen, it wasn't just me. The whole time we were filming that movie, Jimmy was on the set, thank God. Because every other day we'd be working on some scene and all the actors would get to some expression and just kind of look at each other and go, oh, Jimmy.
What does this mean?
And to this day, I have a series of, how fans latch on to some of the dialogue,
the phrases and stuff.
And they go, yeah, will you say that line? And I seem to have won the lottery because I have a whole list of quotes that the fans love to hear. But I have to credit Jimmy. All of that stuff came out of Jimmy's pen. It's a Jimmy, what is chon chon? What is that? None of us ever, what are wolf tickets? What are,
Right.
Yeah,
Jimmy, that's why at first, when it first started off, that's why, along with Choppa's acting at first, that's why I was thrown off. I'm like, whoa, okay, I've got to watch this. But it was such a great movie. So basically, what you're saying is that Jimmy basically created like an offshoot of the culture with lingo and terminology and stuff from that movie, because the movie it's like a Latino Godfather. I mean, in that sense. I mean, it's just it's grandness of it all, the depth in the story, and the fact that all the actors in there. Was this like Star Wars? A bunch were there any names in there? Were you all unknowns then, and then this thing just launched you? Because there's just so many people in there. Even Tom.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton. That was like, holy crap. And then not Tom. Is it Tom? He was in Back to the Future. No, the one that was in Back to the Future. He played the bully.
Oh, Biff.
Biff. He's the police officer with
Ben Bratt.
Yeah. It was an amazing movie, dude.
No,
and it is now it's on the top of my list. I loved it.
Well, it's really remarkable because now it can be told, that film was an absolute box office flop when it first came out, and
but it did win an award in Tokyo International Film Festival.
It's big in Japan, I got to tell you. Did you know that in Japan there is a thriving lowrider culture?
Oh, I bet. But yeah.
And I've never been, but I've seen the photos, and they go whole hog, not only the cars, but they're wearing the Charlie Browns and the big pleats and it's serious stuff over there,
But let me ask you this: with that in that culture, we're the shirt buttoned at the top and the white shirt and the pleated pants. Was that started with this movie, or was that how it was?
No.
Did they? Yeah, because I was going to say,
how it was. No. Again, it's one of the reasons why I think the film has had such an impact, and it lasts. It just endures, because we're talking about 20, almost. I think we're going on 30 years now.
I hate to say it. My 30th anniversary is this year. I graduated in '92, so yeah, you're looking at 29 years.
Yeah. And it's bigger than ever. And I'm really impressed, because for the longest time I kind of avoided the whole meet and greet thing surrounding that movie, and I just kind of thought, well, okay, I did that, now let me move on and whatever. But in a way, it continues to grow. It continues to grow, and I finally started doing some meet and greets again right before the pandemic, and the love, the appreciation, the embrace of the fans of this movie, and the depth and breadth of them is incredibly amazing and overwhelming. I mean, it really, literally is worldwide. I have been recognized all over the world.
Hmm.
In places like South Africa. Uh, at the top of the Hopi reservation. I thought, what? The Indians would go, oh, blood in, blood out. I mean, remarkable.
Bye.
I go on these live things, like I've been doing a lot of Instagram and stuff lately, and you see the people, and it's like, hey, hi, the wolf tickets. See that now they're quoting stuff there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
no
am looking in this direction. I'm seeing you. My camera's just up high, so
yeah,
I got
I know. I'm looking at my camera as well. But I mean, there's some. I finally realized there are so many levels on which this movie operates on. It's not a gang movie. I mean, I think a lot of people just kind of
No,
wrote
it's
it.
really not.
No,
It's
it's not.
it's a family movie, and even in the prison, it's a family movie because
Yeah,
they have to be a family. And how did you guys get access to this prison to film this film?
Taylor, Mr. Hackford is a very stubborn man. And he insisted on the authenticity and that we had to
No
be.
shit.
Yes, and he
Mm.
maneuvered, and of course, we were coming from a real big studio, big Hollywood studio.
Uh-huh.
So, doors got opened and everything. But I remember in preparation for going there, we got coached. We had field trips up there. I mean, I'll never forget the first time going inside San Quentin, going through all the security steps and everything like that, and then finally getting in there. And of course, we had this phalanx of officers surrounding us the whole time because we're just sissy Hollywood actors. And I'll never forget the first time we were in there and we walked up to the edge of a high parapet and we could look down and see the yard. And just seeing the yard right away tells you, the geography of the relationships in there.
And that's how they have it. They have it fenced off into sections, right?
Well, it's no. The fences are invisible, but they are very present.
Oh, okay. Because I remember there was a scene where
you see all the white guys and they're doing their thing and they have their weights and their equipment and their stuff, and then you got all the black guys over in that section over there. You got all the Latinos someplace else. And the most curious thing is we're looking down at all of this, and there was right in the middle of the yard, there was a fence. There was a fenced-in area. It wasn't very large. Fenced-in area, and it had a roof covering with a wisp of smoke coming out of it. And we went, looked at that and said, what is that? And the officers said, that's the Native American area. Because they sued the prison, because they said it is on sacred ground and we are entitled to our sweat lodge. And they won. So in the very middle of the yard in San Quentin, there is the Native American section, But I mean, just looking at that, you got the picture right away. Okay, these are the camps, these are the divisions, and never shall they mix.
Wow.
In fact, while we were in there, the film was in there about 3.5, almost a full month. I was only in there about 2 weeks, which was just fine with me. Couldn't wait to get out of there. But several times during production just stopped because all of a sudden, like we did some shooting in the yard, and of course in the tiers. And I'll never forget one day we're in the yard and suddenly the klaxons are going off and then the sirens are going off and it's like everybody hit the ground because somebody had just been knifed. And suddenly in the middle of all of this Hollywood shooting, there was a dead body on the ground. And of course the corrections officers right away said, okay, lockdown, everybody back. And Taylor is there going, but I haven't finished my shot. They're like, sorry, Hollywood.
So those weren't extras. Those were actual prisoners that you had as background.
What we had, this is a funny story. What they did is that they put up Taylor again, Mr. Authenticity. He wanted real guys in the background, you know.
Right.
So after a lot of negotiation, they put up an ad in the prison asking for guys that wanted to be extras, you know. And they were overwhelmed, you know. Everybody wanted to be an extra in the movie. And as someone explained to me, it is because in prison, one of the most valuable things to have is a job. Something to do during the day.
A skill set.
Because the routine is that everybody wakes up, crack of dawn, and then you get to go and do your things, and then you go to your first meal of the day, breakfast. After breakfast, if you do not have someplace to go and do something, you have two options. You go out in the yard, regardless of what the weather is, or back to your cell. And those cells are pretty darn tiny.
Yeah, there's even that scene where Choppa goes into his cell the second time. He's already been out on parole, then he comes back in, and he puts his arm on the bed, and his arm is the length or the width of the bed, and then his other arm was like this.
Yep.
He has this much space.
Yep.
That's just I felt claustrophobic watching that.
There's not very big, and there's two of you in there, you know. So if you have that choice, either you spend all day in there, or you spend all day in the yard, or if you are blessed with a job to go do, the laundry, the kitchen, the whatever, that you don't get locked up again. So when they put out the call for extras, all these guys wanted to be in the movie. So they went through and kind of separated out, you know, like, no, we don't want the axe murderers and this and that and the other. And they ended up with a pool of 500 inmates who were the real deal, and they were our extras. Now, here's the funny story. Production starts, and they all show up on the first day, and they're all lined up outside, you know, with a little paper bag because the prison had prepared lunches for them. So they had their little paper bag with a sandwich and an apple in it or whatever. And they're out there, and we do the morning, whatever, and then it's time to break for lunch, and they all go out to their little paper bags. But they notice all of the actors are being led to this area with these dining cars and the kids stuff. And the Hollywood people are starting to lunch on prime rib, and this and that. And, you know, and they're like, what? And they have their little paper bag with a bologna sandwich and an apple, you know? And the next day, they went on strike.
Yes.
Because they said, we want some of that. It don't work. And because these guys they're not dumb. And they had already caught on after one day of shooting that there is a concept in movie making called continuity.
Yes, continuity is very important, and you can tell when they don't have a continuity person on a film.
That's right. And they're like, hey, you didn't finish shooting that scene in there where I was in the back, you know? And if you want to shoot that scene and not go all the way back to the beginning, I want prime rib.
Oh, damn.
The next day, they had their own catering truck.
So they kind of got you in a corner there. Because continuity and having to do second and third shots.
That's right. That's how movies get made.
Oh my gosh, dude. That I'm sorry. I'm a little, after seeing the movie, I'm kind of cheering on the prisoners. Oh man, but yes. Okay, so here was the other, and I wrote it down. Okay, I've been in the business too. I don't have a track record like you know, bio and everything, but I've been in it a long time, about 40 plus years, and I remember Forrest Gump. I think turn 50 next year. So I remember seeing Forrest Gump, like so many others, and being flabbergasted at the special effects, especially with the removal of Major Dan's legs with green screen or green socks at the time. Now, Blood In, Blood Out was filmed or released in 93, correct? 93, 94?
92,
Or
92.
92, 92,
Yeah.
yes. Um, and there's a scene, and I'm not going to say who because you all have to watch the movie, but I will say that there is an individual who loses a leg. I was looking for cutaways. I was looking for the special effects. There's no way Damien Chapa. Oh,
Oh,
oh, that was my one dumbass move for the night.
okay.
Anyway, my
Doesn't
bad.
ruin anything.
My bad. Anyway, because when that was out, because he did a lot of the kung fu karate movies too, and fighting movies. So I'm guessing it wasn't him; it was a double. But if so, wow, the transitions and cutaway, I thought it was him. Yeah, it was so amazing, and then just seeing the leg. Anyway, tell me.
Well, look, it bears mentioning that we talked a little bit about Jimmy Baca and how a lot of the grit and reality in the writing came from Jimmy's experience, his life experience.
Okay.
The actual story that is told or alluded to in the film about the what in the movie we call La Onda, prime rib in prison. There you go. Oh my God, everything decides to go off at the same time.
Is that me?
No, that's me. Oh my God, stop it. Oh,
it's in beat though. The digital with the piano, it really works.
yeah. It's me. This thing doesn't want to die. Oh, I know what it is. I got two phones going on here, and all right. Sorry about that.
That is quite all right. No worries. Everything here is very loosey Susie and improv.
So let me get back to the story.
The story of Jimmy. Yes.
Okay, now Jimmy, we got Jimmy's part in the whole thing. Jimmy really did time, etc.
Mm-hmm.
The story told in the film about the formation of the Mexican mafia, that is real. That really did happen in San Quentin.
Oh, wait. Tell me. So you're saying what was that whole scenario is what started the Mexican mafia?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yes. Look,
I mean, I could see where that could have led to it.
I have to do like a disclaimer. I have to do a fair warning here, because this little where I'm going right now is real, and it's serious, and it's still happening, and this is not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Two films were shot simultaneously, as happens in Hollywood so often. Nobody makes a pirate movie in decades. And then all of a sudden, one studio says they're making a pirate movie, and then you got three pirate movies going on at the same time.
Right.
Same thing happened with this film. There is another film that was shot simultaneously and actually beat us to the box office, came out first, called American Me. If you have never seen or heard of American Me, if you were to look at that movie, you would see so many similarities in plot points, including the whole thing about the main character going to prison and becoming involved with the Mexican gangs. Now, the reason for that is because that all really happened.
Right.
With the real Mexican gang. Okay? Now, when the films were going into production, the word came down from where the word comes down from, that be careful of what you show and tell in your films, because you will get into trouble. Fair warning.
Wow.
The other film kind of did not honor that, because what I'm driving at is that character with the one leg is a real person, and he really is a half-breed, and he really is the blonde guy. And he really did end up as the godfather of the whole darn thing. And the bit with the leg and all that, that's the tell. Now, somebody from our film met with them somebody from the other film met with them.
Mhm.
They had a list of, well, we could say requests, but they were sort of veiled.
Demands.
We'll do it this way,
Yeah.
including there are some names you must not name. There are certain things you must not reveal. Our film with Taylor decided to honor that. The other film took some other risks. When the other film came out, to date, last time I refreshed this, 4 people involved with the other film had been whacked. And I'm talking Joe Pesci kind of whacked.
Yeah.
And a contract was out on Eddie, the director. Eddie had to kind of go camp out in New York for a few years because of that.
Wow.
So what I'm saying to you is that at the heart of that film, those events, especially the ones having to do with the formation of the gang in the prison and their reach, because just because they're in the walls of the prison doesn't mean they're not still running stuff outside.
Right.
That shit is real.
No. Yeah. No.
And some of the folks involved in the making of these movies paid some serious consequences.
Oh,
Because
yes.
they didn't kind of dance the way they were asked to.
Mm-hmm.
So that just gets back to that character that Damien played is based on a real character.
Wow.
And a lot of things really did happen, including the leg. That's why it was kind of important to show it.
So it was his. It was
a body double.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. The transition was fantastic. That's why he's a great director, and it makes sense now that you told me the other projects that he has worked on. Wow. I could go on for hours and hours because it was 3 hours of stuff to do. And I'll tell you, I think Dancing with Wolves was the last time I saw a movie that long.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact, I was so emotionally invested in this film, dude. I don't speak Spanish at all, really. And so I'm sitting there, I'm trying to, every now and then when you guys, and there's no subtitles, I'm sitting there going, I got to figure this out because I got to keep up with what's going on. It was like a mini series, really. It had so much in it, so much depth to it. And the growth of the characters. I mean, like in your case with Damien, the transitions of things that go on. I don't want to say too much for anybody that hasn't seen it, but I know a lot have. But I'm just thank you so much for being a part of such a great film. And I'm so sorry I was so late in the game to see it, but it's amazing.
That's okay. It's not going anywhere. And I'll say one more thing about the length, and then we can talk about whenever anything else. The first director's cut that Taylor delivered was 4 hours and 45 minutes long. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And a script had already been written for part 2, which never got shot.
I was going to actually suggest that's like, when are they going to make the sequel to it? I want to know what's happening to him today. I want all the characters.
Well, let me speed through this because, again, you're right. We could talk about this all night. Originally, when I first was offered the film, it was a 2-picture deal, and all of the principals that you saw, they're actually signed contracts for 2 movies, which is a very attractive thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we get into rehearsal, and the screenplay, the shooting script comes down, and it's as thick as the Bible. And everybody's like, oh, well, my God, well, this is certainly going to be cut down before we start shooting. It wasn't. We shot that entire thing. And like I said, then Taylor presented a 4 hour and 45-minute cut to the studio, which, of course, instantly freaked out. And they said, no, we were talking 2 hours. And Taylor said, no, 3 at least. And so then the negotiation began. And so they would cut a 2-hour version and test it. And then they would cut a 3-hour version and test it, and back and forth and back and forth. And they kept bringing us back in to do voiceovers and ADR, because when you cut 4 hours and 45 down to 2, you leave out a hell of a lot of information that you have to find places that you kind of have to sneak it in. I remember recording new lines on shots where it was the back of my head. And they'd say the line now, because, it's the back of your head. So this went on, and this went on for a year. Back and forth, back and forth. Meanwhile, the other film got completed and edited and released, and it came out. And we were still slogging through all of these different cuts of the film. When it was finally ready to come out, which by the way included shooting the very last scene in the film a year after principal photography had ended, the whole thing was finally packaged and put together. But at the test screenings, they kept having little pushing and shoving incidents in the theaters, because the guys with the blue handkerchiefs and the guys and then the studio started to get cold feet, because actually the studio was Disney, believe it or not. And
really?
But they had an adult division then called.
I was going to say, with that car scene, yeah.
Hollywood Pictures was their adult division to house films of this nature, a little more adult stuff. I think Hollywood Pictures is long gone, but anyway, it was still Disney. So we are over a year in post-production, testing and stuff, and taking note of little incidents in the lobby. And then when they're finally ready to release the movie, the LA riots happened.
That's right.
And the city of Los Angeles got burnt down and so forth. And so everything got shelved, particularly that film.
Yeah.
And then after the riots had died down a bit, they're like, well, are we going to rehearse the film? Are we going to release it now? And the trailers had been out and the one sheets had been out advertising blood in, blood out. They started testing again, had a big shoving incident. And then somebody in marketing said, you know what the answer is? It's the title. It's too gory. So if you see the title, all your problems will end. So they rebranded the movie and called it Bound by Honor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes. And then they did not market it. They did not push Bound by Honor. Everybody's waiting for Blood In, Blood Out. And then finally, they toss it out there. They did do 2,000 screens 2 weeks before Terminator 2 as Bound by Honor. And nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. Boom. Wow. Sank like a stone. Didn't go anywhere. And to your comment earlier about, my God, this is like a Godfather. Look at everybody was unknown. This is going to launch all these careers and everything. Well,
that's what you all were hoping for.
We thought that too. We thought, oh, this is going to be our Godfather, our Platoon, our West Side Story. And then the movie came out and it was a huge bomb. And so in terms of career advancement, really didn't do very much for any of us, And it's only been in subsequent years when this cult has grown and grown and grown, and the fan base has grown and grown and grown, all on video, that this phenomenon has happened now. And I can't walk through an airport in South Africa without getting recognized.
Wow.
So that's the short version.
Well, that's amazing, and it's also kind of sad too, because it's such an amazing film. But to give credit where credit is due, I mean, most of the people in that film had a pretty decent career, did some great movies. I mean, Trejo. Some people were like, was he discovered in that prison? I don't think he was he? He wasn't discovered in the prison. He was discovered just because of his tattoos, right?
You mean
Danny?
Oh, Danny Trejo. Yeah. No, Danny had already started to work in films a little bit prior to that. Yeah, Danny's a great guy. He's a terrific guy, And in fact, when I alluded before to our intermediary with the other guys and everything, it was Danny, because he had the cred, because he was also somebody who and again, I'm not saying anything out of turn, because if you hear Danny speak, and he's a wonderful motivation.
No, I've heard his story. Yeah. I mean, he'd been through all that. So he was familiar.
and he was blessed to be able to turn it around. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but he still had the street credibility and the connections, and so it was great to have him on the team to navigate through those particular intricacies. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
a lot of people. Ving Rhames was in that movie.
Vin Rames was in there.
Delroy Lindo,
Delroy is bona fide.
Bonafide.
Um, yeah, so many. I mean, I could just do the whole cast. There's so many in here. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton really caught me for a loop, but what a perfect character for him. I mean, he fit it just great. Um, yeah, it was mostly the men that I saw
Mhm.
dominated. You guys,
Well, I'll tell you
it
another backstage story about that. In order to get 3 hours and 45 minutes down to 3 hours, one entire storyline was cut out, like
Hmm.
completely gone. And it was the love story. Because in the original script, Benjamin Bratt's character has a romantic, thing that develops with the daughter of the police captain, and so forth and so on.
And that's how he
It's
gets to do what
the
he does.
independent Latina woman, very great role, great terrific thing, and that whole thing, all of that got shot, and then another one of those
Yeah.
Hollywood
Th-
stories.
there was a lack of romance in this film now that I'm thinking about it. It
Yeah,
was
because
more
they cut
about
out the entire love story.
wow.
There was a whole. What I keep advocating for is for the studio to go back in to the cutting room and get all of that lost footage and all this kind of stuff and put it all back together again. They could probably end up with about 6 hours. And now
Hmm.
that we're living in the era of Netflix and Amazon and stuff like that,
Right.
chop it up into 2 hour segments, and there you have three hours, 3 nights of blood in, blood out, the whole thing.
Right.
It
A
exists.
trilogy.
It exists.
Hmm. It may have just not been its time yet. Now, as you see, it is. And that's another thing. Have you noticed that people are going for the nostalgia instead of the new stuff because it's all just repetitive cookie cutter, been there, done that.
Yeah,
And what you've done in the past and others, that's the original. Those are the
yeah,
unique ideas. And
yeah.
I think that's why they stick out to even the younger generation, the what do you call it? Gen Z or whatever they are now. There's so many
Yeah.
gens.
Even Speed, I have to, do a shout out for Speed because
Oh, we haven't even got to Speed yet. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, he's in the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves. You know that one?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, when
I told you
Keanu,
that movie.
yeah, before Keanu and Sandy were Keanu and Sandy. I mean, he was best known at that point for, I think he had done Point Break, maybe. Um, but he was still Bill, Bill and Ted,
Right, right. He was stereotyped, each
Yeah,
of his characters.
yeah, and Sandy was kind of not really known at that point. But what I was going to say is that shout out to Speed and the stuntmen because
Mhm.
the only CGI in Speed was the gap in the freeway.
Correct, because it wasn't really at half the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That the bus jumps over because the freeway isn't. That's the only CGI. Everything else, all that crazy mayhem and going under the bus and thing, is all live.
Do you
All
miss that? I do. Do you? I mean, because now everything is CGI and blue screen or green screen
yeah,
and green suits.
yeah.
Um, that real world, man, it's like listening to vinyl.
Mhm.
It doesn't, you know, it's yeah. So I think that's why I'm more attracted to independent films recently, is because it's not all CGI. They're working with what they got. Of course, some are using it because that's the way of the industry these days. But what's the word? Practical shots. That's what the
Practical.
word I was
Yeah,
looking for. I was just sitting here stumbling. I appreciate that. Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, Jaws. No
yeah,
CGI there. That was an actual physical size shark,
yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And I just, oh man, the industry, it looks cool. It's sharper image. It's in 4K or 10K or whatever they got this year. but I just don't ever think it will ever capture. That's why I like Stranger Things. The Duff
Yeah,
brothers,
yeah,
they nailed the 80s perfect.
yeah.
And with the music and even the little scratchy grain, like in Blood In, Blood Out,
Hmm.
I was loving that, dude. I was
Hmm.
even though I was watching it in 4K, I was still just, oh, look at the grain in there. You just see the little
Yeah,
hairs. That's film.
that was shot
So
on film, you know.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just it's a beautiful thing. So all right, so yes, you were in this little thing called Speed, and that did really well. And then you were in Fisher King um, um, with Robin Williams, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Oh man, okay, here's the thing. You never really know, there's that cliche about there are no small parts, only small actors or whatever,
Hmm.
because you never really know. Fisher King was kind of funny because I was still a recent arrival in LA, and I got the meeting with Terry Gilliam, and I met him, very nice gentleman, and we read a bit and so forth, and he playing around, and he said, "Well, where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Panama." And it's like, and what's your background? And I told him a little bit about my heritage, some of which is West Indian, and so I was trying out accents and so forth and so on. Then I eventually I got the part, and I remember when I read it, it was like one scene and everything, and you're like, okay, it's cool. It's like a one scene thing. Um, then I get it, and I call to shoot, and I had one day. I worked one day on Fisher King, because everything it was actually more like two scenes or something, but it was all done in this on the same day.
Hmm.
First of all, when we started to rehearse, and I'm like, oh, it's me, Robin Williams, Jeff Bridges, and Mercedes Rule.
Oh,
Oh my
I
God.
just bury me now. That's
Yeah,
what I'd say. Just I'm done. Careers
yeah, you know
can't
what I'm
go any
saying?
higher.
Yeah, I'm Terry Gilliam,
Oh
and,
my
and that's
God.
it. That's who's there,
You were so
you
blessed.
know. And so now we're going to work. And Terry kept being very encouraging and very laid back. And he's just like, he goes, we have to give this, the doctor needs a name. What name should we give him? And he said, what do you think, Carlos? And I said, well, because we'd been playing around with the whole West Indian thing. And I said, well, my maternal grandfather's name was Mandeville. And he goes, that's it. We have our doctor, Dr. Mandeville. And indeed, in the movie, I get to see my name is Dr. Mandeville, a little homage to my grandfather.
That's awesome.
Yes. Then we get down to the work. We got to shoot the scenes and so forth and so on. And I swear, that was one of those dream days on a set because they all they all enlisted themselves in service to me. Their mission that day, from Terry down to Jeff and Mercedes and Robin. Unfortunately, I didn't have much to do with Robin because it's a scene where he's been beat up and he's in the hospital. So it's basically
Oh,
just a body lying in the bed. So it was me and Mercedes and Jeff and Terry working on this thing. But the entire day was Carlos Day. And we would
wow.
do a take, we would do a rehearsal, and then all of them would go, how do you feel? Was that good for you? What do you want? Hey, listen, how about if I do over here a little bit more, Jeff? I mean, it was such a dream.
They were giving.
They were there. That they had decided that day they were there for me.
It was your moments, and
It was
they want to
my
make sure
moment,
you
and
shined.
they were gonna help me to make it as good as it could be. And it was fabulous. And it was such a joy. And then I was done. I had my one day, and then
Hmm.
my wife and I went off to adopt a dog, and life went on. Then, so you fast forward a few months later, the film comes out, and I'm still like, I had one day on that movie. Film comes out, my phone starts ringing, and it's friends of mine going, "Oh my God, I just saw Fisher King. What a great role! Oh, you were so wonderful. It was terrific." And I'm like, "Well, thank you. Okay." And then another call like that, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" I mean, it's like because by the way, I never saw the full script.
Hmm.
Then
So you didn't know the whole story, yeah.
I didn't know the whole story. Then I go to see the movie, and I sit there and I go, "Oh my God, no wonder," because there's only 7 people in the movie.
Hmm.
I mean, really, it was like the
Wow.
four of them, you know. And then there was the gay guy in the park and stuff like that. And then there
Mm-hmm.
was a woman, I forget exactly, and then me. And and the extras and stuff, you know.
Right.
Basically, there was only like 7 characters in the movie. And again, another lesson that you go, oh, okay, never.
Even a 1-day job can be a very big deal.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, but it was a
Wow.
great experience, and that really is what I carried away from that was just the absolute generosity of,
Mhm.
of other
Of
people.
course, that's all it from what you said, that's all it was, and the fact that there's such huge stars, and they're because you always hear people that they're snobby or they're stuck up or they're on their ivory. When you can work with amazing actors that know how to
Hmm.
give you the space to be as great as you can be,
Hmm.
that's when it can just be beautiful magic.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
hmm That's one of the things I enjoyed, by the way, about the film we worked on, Turnover,
oh
because
yeah.
again, you just had that vibe on that set, and from everybody, all
Mhm.
the way down from starting with Paul Guilfoyle.
Mhm.
To me, he just treated me as a peer, as a buddy, as a friend. Our director, Tina,
Linda.
Linda, I don't know where I got Tina. Um, but everybody, and the crew, all those women,
Yeah,
who
amazing,
were
amazing.
so at the top of their game, but everybody was there. Support,
Mhm.
support, support, a team effort. That's the best work. When I
Yeah.
produce, because I also direct,
You're a writer, director, producer, and actor, and
yeah,
a musician.
yeah, and a musician. Yes,
Yes,
I have a few short films under my belt, and
you
I
do.
just love to let everybody shine. Let everybody have their say. That's to me is the way to work.
Right. And yeah, I'm the same way. I love to get the input of everybody because it can never truly be of just one person's dream or imagination. It takes everybody, the construction workers, the caterers, the director, the stunt guys. And I used to do stunt work. So when you talk about speed and stunts, oh
Oof,
yes. My
yeah,
my favorite was learning when I can't remember his name now. The gentleman that was Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's riding the lasso underneath the car.
yeah, yeah.
That was the moment I said, I want to be a stuntman. I want to be dragged under cars. Now you are working on some stuff. One that's in post production right now. Cholo Zombies Monstro. Am I saying that right? Did I say that right?
Yes. Yes. Part of what goes with being Popeye,
Uh huh.
and being loved and embraced by the community is being asked occasionally, to just come on board and help another fellow.
Filmmaker. Yes. A step
You
up,
know,
helping. Yes.
yeah. And that particular one was again an independent film that I got a call. Then they had this idea because everything is zombie now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
it's that
Oh,
transitions
well,
in.
the zombies have had their day. I think the zombies are kind of fading a little bit now, but for a while, and yeah, this particular filmmaker decided that he's trying to create a franchise of zombie cholos, so the whole vato culture and everything like that. And
And
then
cholos, those are the ones with the pointy toe boots, right?
cholos is sort of like a generic term to to describe, yes, that culture with the
Okay.
with the pants and the buttons shirt and the whole.
Very, very, very stylish.
Yes, yes, that's
Yes.
sort of like generically described as cholos and cholas too, because there's cholas too.
Hmm.
And so no, this young man decided that he wanted to do this cholo thing where all the virus descends or whatever, and it's turning him on. That's a cameo. He asked me to come on, and
So you come on as Popeye, as a Popeye
well,
zombie.
they wanted to do Popeye as a zombie, and I kind of said no because
Yeah.
I think Popeye at this point has
Where do you
become
think? Where do you think Popeye would be today? Right
in
now.
jail. Oh my
Yeah, he was a little stubborn.
yeah, he's and a sleazeball.
Yeah, yeah.
I think one of the reasons Popeye was so much fun is because he's just so amoral. He's so self-centered. He's so narcissistic, but he's funny.
Yep.
He's funny, and I mean,
Do you enjoy doing the bad guy roles over a good guy role?
uh, it depends. It has to be well written. At the end of the day, it comes down to the writing.
Mm-hmm.
If the writing is good, you know, and I've discovered, and in the beginning, I've always kind of tended to be cast as a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
way from the beginning. Which at first I was like, what? I'm a classical actor. I played Romeo. Um, but then once you get into the actual profession, into the industry, then the pigeonholing starts and everything.
Right.
I've been around long enough to when the variety and availability of diverse roles and professions and things like that for Latinos had not reached, what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I started, it was just like, you're the hood. That's what it was, or
Yeah,
the
yeah, it was the stereotypes. That's all it
yeah,
was.
yeah. Because remember, I've been around from when they were making movies like Taxi Driver and stuff like that. That's when I was getting started, and that's like,
Mm-hmm.
show me a doctor, a Latino doctor or something.
Right.
Very, you know. So I did have kind of a bit of a harsh wake up when I first, started to work, and I'm like, really, this is it? I'm condemned to always play these kind of roles. And then you get over that because you learn. You want to work. You gotta, Um,
You
but
take what you
in the
get.
end, but I've come to understand that, and even a lot of my favorite actors. Then when you get over yourself and you take a longer look at everything, you realize, oh wait a minute, a lot of people started as the bad guy. One of my all time favorite movie actors is Humphrey Bogart. You know,
Now, what bad guy was he?
oh my God, his breakout film was in a movie called High Sierra.
I
Uh,
recognize the name, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
well, you must.
Maltese Falcon, yeah. And,
Well, no, but that's when he started to turn it around, his career. But early Bogart, all bad guys, all bad guys.
wow.
High Sierra was kind of his breakout with Ida Lupino. Remember her?
Hmm.
And High Sierra was. Oh no! Wait, no. Petrified Forest.
Yeah,
Have
we
you
have that up here, by the
the
way. Next time you
Petrified
visit.
Forest?
Yeah, it's up here if you want to come visit next time.
Yeah, but there's a movie called The Petrified Forest.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes,
Go on, go
that
on.
was his breakout, his real big film breakout. Petrified Forest. He plays this horrible, desperate, unredeemable killer, Duke Mantee, and it was originally a Broadway play. It's about these people and they're all trapped in this thing, and it's out in Arizona or someplace.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the star who did the star of the piece, the good guy, was played by an actor, a British actor called Leslie Howard, who is nobody knows him now.
I recognize the name though.
Leslie Howard. Leslie Howard was in Gone with the Wind with Clark Gable.
That's probably where, yeah.
Yes. And Leslie Howard was a stage actor. He did Petrified Forest on Broadway. And this guy, this theater actor named Humphrey Bogart, played the Duke Mantee role. And it was a big hit. And then Hollywood came a calling that they wanted to take the thing out and make the film version. And Leslie Howard said, I will only do it if you bring that kid to reprise the role. And it was Humphrey Bogart.
Wow.
And a legend was born. And it was another 10 years before Bogart got to the Maltese Falcon roles and the Casablancas and things like that. But he started as a stone bad guy, But my point is this. If the writing is good, playing a bad guy can be a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous challenge.
Yeah.
There's the dramaturgy is full of fascinating bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say Iago?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say Richard III?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's the writing. It's the writing.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, give me, I piss on you. That gets old really fast.
or where it's just, curse word after curse word after curse word because they can't come up with good content
Yep.
in their writing.
That's right.
I look at that as lazy. It's good to have foul language in there when it's appropriate, but when it's
Oh yeah,
day in
yeah,
and day out.
yeah, yeah. No,
So
everything starts with the writing. We had an old expression in the theater: "If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage,"
right.
and it starts with the writing.
Yeah. Wow. Now you have been doing some writing, and I thought it was the first one. I apologize. Not so it's not Smiley's movie. It's is it Notorious Nick? Which one did you co-write on or your writer on that's in the works or
Oh wait, what are you looking at?
movies, IMDb. But I remember last night looking at it that you had a writing credit for it.
Well, I wrote. Okay, I said that I started at this whole journey about film festival and everything as
Uh-huh.
my personal response to the emergence of the film industry in Panama.
Uh-huh.
You know, I have since had the pleasure of working on several projects down there, and one I played the lead in an independent movie down there about a legend. It's my first ever horror film.
Oh, okay.
And but then I also co-wrote. There's a film that I believe is on IMDb, and I think HBO has picked it up now, called Just Cause.
That's the one. That's the one. It's
Yes,
got the really beautiful poster with all the
yes,
characters on it. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the one. I'm looking at your IMDb, so I have a whole list of titles here.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
yeah.
have a great list.
That film takes up the story of the American invasion of Panama in '89
In 89,
to get
and
Noriega.
and it is out, correct?
Pardon?
Is it out
Yeah,
or
it is. It is. It
okay?
is.
I
Yeah.
do want to see it because I have a minuscule connection to that whole scenario in Panama. That was the year I went to the Marine Military Academy right in high school,
Oh, okay.
and I was sending letters home, and my mom told somebody I was in the Marine Military Academy, and they misconstrued it to I was in the Marines, and it was the year of Panama. So when I came back from military school that next year to regular high school, I didn't understand for the first 6 months why everybody gave me way when I walked down the hallway because they thought I was in the Marines in Panama.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm interested in that subject. So I want to see that film. Is it in Spanish or English or is it I got sub I mean,
well, it's primarily in Spanish.
okay.
There are portions of it that are in English. Like when the Americans come on and stuff like that. But I believe it's subtitled, the English sections. I'd be happy to speak to you about that film further, but off camera. As
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, then let's get to one. I hope that you could talk to us on camera because I know I've got some sci-fi fans out there. You did a trek, you might say, with Star Trek for a bit as Klingon, correct? Um,
I have been different creatures on Star Trek, because what you discover working on Star Trek is that you are so anonymous because of all of the layers and layers
makeup.
of makeup that they can bring you back,
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
in some other kind of things. So
Right.
I was a Klingon, I think, three times, different Klingons. And then I was a big, huge Chewbacca looking thing, on Voyager, and then I was a lizard-looking thing on Deep Space Nine. And so yeah, so I've got about six Star Trek credits.
Wow. Now, it was that just agent called said, "Hey, I got an audition for you," and you got in, or was there? Oh, so that's what I was hoping. Maybe you had a UFO encounter or something. Because if you haven't seen my show, I'm actually you've seen Ancient Aliens.
No, I haven't.
You've never seen the show Ancient Aliens? Wow.
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, it's on the History Channel. It's one of their biggest. It's like 12 seasons.
Okay.
Um, I'm on a show called Third Phase of Moon, and it's kind of the YouTube version of that. We're the number one UFO channel on YouTube. And so we deal with a lot of footage of stuff that's sent in. We work with a lot of the big names, Dr. Stephen Greer, who started the disclosure movement in 2001. Travis Walton from the movie Fire in the Sky, the guy that story was about. He's down the street. He's a close friend of mine up here now. And so some people that like working on those projects, they may have had an encounter when they were young or a sighting, and so that there's that interest in space subject matter. So you said it was just the agent called you and said, I got a gig for you, and you got it. So, and that's how you got into that. Have you ever had an experience?
No, I can't say that I have. I know I really haven't. I really can't. Although when I was doing the very first Star Trek I did, okay, it was when Deep Space Nine had just been launched. It might have been their first season. And the year prior to that, I had done a play at the Mark Taper Forum, Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
It's Richard II with Kelsey Grammer.
Oh, and by the way, Carlos, theater, it's just not TV and film. He's huge in theater, done some amazing work. So Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
And that's it. That was that New York, you said?
No, here in LA at the Mark Taper Forum.
Okay.
So there was the production, Richard II with Kelsey Grammer in the leading role. And I met a lovely actor on it named Armin Shimmerman, who's a very well-respected classical actor around town.
Okay.
So we did Richard, and we got to know each other and whatever, and then the play closed and life moved on. A few months later, I read an announcement that the new Star Trek had been cast, and my friend Armin ended up as one of the regulars on Deep Space Nine. He was playing a thing called a Ferengi, which...
Yeah, the bartender guy.
The bartender.
That's the picture of you two are together.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yes. So then a few months further, I get this audition and I get cast in the thing. So now I'm going to go and work on Deep Space Nine with Armin. So I called him up and I said, okay, you've been there for a few months. Tell me, what is the secret of Star Trek acting? And he said, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine because you are a classically trained actor. And I'm like, So then when I got going and the layers and layers of makeup started, the first thing prep to go and work on the episode was that I had to go in and have molds taken of my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So they could make me Klingon teeth, which, I still have them in a drawer someplace. Then the day comes and the call report to makeup is like at 4 a.m. or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because I discovered that becoming a Klingon takes 3.5 hours of makeup. Okay, the layers and oh, by the way, by then they had taken impressions of the face and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They have
done the mold.
They have to do all that and make your forehead and all that kind of stuff. So then you get 3.5 hours just putting the face and the wigs and all that kind of stuff on. Then come the costumes, which weigh a ton, and then because in this particular episode there was a big court scene, the capes and so forth.
Oh, so it's the royal,
By the time you have all of that stuff on there, you're already exhausted, and it is highly challenging. And what Armin meant was that a lot of actors can't handle all of that,
right?
Because it just is too overwhelming, it's too claustrophobic, it's too whatever. And then you have to do the language, and then you realize as you're studying the lines that it's actually kind of elevated language.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're speaking about, yes, because my thing and the generations and the House of Quark and blah, blah, blah. And so you realize, you're actually kind of doing classical theater.
Because you have to be very pronounced to get through all of that. And to
all of that kind of stuff.
The teeth mess it up.
Layers of makeup and costume and stuff like that. And guess what? When you're a classical actor and you've been doing outdoor theater like I have done at places like, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival outdoors or Shakespeare and Company out in Massachusetts under the pines and stuff and yelling your head off about Macbeth at night, you're used to that.
Right.
You have the muscle memory of how you get through all of that and still act.
Yeah, it takes real actors to be able to put on all those layers and truly, well, as Beyonce would say, go there. You got
And
to go there.
inhabit it, and
Yeah,
still be able to.
become one with it.
Yeah,
And I find that whenever I put on costumes or outfits or makeup, it seems for me so much easier to fall into that character, because when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, no, you're that person, you're that character.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that you did that with all those, I mean, because Star Trek, their outfits are kind of authentic. It's not like cheap pleather or anything. They go all out. Wow, dude, you have gotten to do so many amazing things. And here I am. We've known each other for a few years. And, like I say, you're my friend is who you are. You're Carlos. And I never try to get googly with them, with my celebrity friends about uh, their IMDb and everything. And so I'm a little giddy. I fell in the Carlos barrel, and I'm like, oh my God, my friend is amazing.
Oh man,
He's done some awesome stuff.
No, man, you're too kind.
Oh man,
You got your stuff going on, which I admire. What you do, this show, I mean, I could never pull this off.
oh man, it's sometimes I just don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people, they'll script things or they edit stuff, but I like the live because it allows us to bring people in. Now, real quick, someone did ask up here earlier, and I did put it up. Tina asked, Carlos, when you decided you wanted to act or that you were interested in acting, or when did you decide? Because you started with stage, correct?
That is correct.
So, and you did it at a university. Which university? I'm so sorry. I had all this stuff up on the other page.
I decided that I wanted to act. I think I was in high school. I went to a Catholic school in Panama that was run by American nuns from the Maryknoll Order. And they were very creative. And one year they decided they were going to do plays. And so I remember, I was in about 7th grade or something. And the Mother Superior came up to me and said, guess what? We're going to do a Christmas play, and you are going to be in it. And I'm like, really? And she said, yes, we are going to do a play called Amal and the Night Visitors, which is, this is a play. It's out there. It's a little operetta. And Amal is the main character, and he's a little crippled boy with a crutch. And he his mom, who runs an inn. This is, of course, in old-timey Bethlehem or whatever. And it is really about the three wise men. Because one night at the inn, and then Amal is clumping around, and there's the knock on the door, and he goes to the door, and it's the three wise men. And they arrive because they are on the journey following the star. And they are looking for a place to spend the night. And they come in, and, magical things happen. And by the end, Amal is off the crutch or whatever. But it's a little operetta. There's some singing. I remember nothing of it, except that the nun informed me, we're going to do Amal and the Night Visitors, and you are going to be Amal. And I'm like, huh? Yeah, I didn't know what to do. But, you soldier on and you do it, and the nuns, and then we did like 2 performances or something like that. But it was my first time being on a stage in front of an audience, and I realized I kind of like that.
I would say that's divine intervention.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, it's a higher power speaking.
He was making sure you were on the right path.
That is correct. And then I got the appetite, and then I wanted to do more, but unfortunately there was no more because there was very, very little theater. Well, there was no professional theater at all in Panama, and the best you could do was sort of like, actually was in the American sector where the canal was, because
Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal, and at that time it was a U.S. territory because the U.S. owned like 5 miles on either side of the canal, and then that's another long, long story. We don't have time for it. But basically, there was an American community in the heart of Panama. I mean, and I mean it was a community with its own school system, its own whatever, police, everything,
infrastructure.
Yeah, it was a small American town in the middle of Panama, and they had theater there.
Wow.
they had community theater and stuff like that. And they did theater at the high school and at the junior college. And I managed to finagle my way into the junior college in the Canal Zone. And it was the first time I really had a for real drama teacher. And we would do for real plays with rehearsals and blocking and stuff like that. And that gentleman, by the way, whenever I have an opportunity, I do a shout out to him because he was one of the most influential people in my entire life. Because he pulled me into his office one day after about 2 years. I did everything with him. I painted his sets, I had rehearsed, or whatever. And he was kind of like my mentor and my best buddy, my guardian. And one day he sat me down and said, "What are you going to do? Have you ever thought about leaving Panama?" He said, "I think you have some talent. You should go see the world, or whatever. And you can't just stay here and, smoke weed all the time." And I'm like, "Hey, what's wrong with that, man?" So he sat me down in his office one day and he said, "Look, I've gotten some forms here and everything. We're going to fill them out together. I want you to go get your transcript, whatever, blah, blah, blah." We filled out, and it was an application for a scholarship to a private college in the American Midwest. And he packaged the whole thing and everything, set it off. A few months later, he called me back and he said, "Guess what, buddy? You're going to the States." Because he created this opportunity for me to get an acting scholarship to Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri in my junior year. And that is when I came to the United States. And I never went back. And that was the beginning of it. So then I did, and once I realized, there are scholarships, you can get scholarships, I made it my business for the next 5 years to always go to the library every year and look and do the research and apply and apply and apply. So I am proud to say that I finished my undergraduate on a scholarship. I then had, by then I had managed to get myself a graduate assistantship at the University of Illinois, and I got my master's degree there. And then after that, I managed to get myself a graduate fellowship at Wayne State University, which is where I went to study and do classical theater for 3 years and work on getting a resident visa. And the rest is history, but none of that would have happened without David Lohman, whom I never saw again. Because at the age of 33, I got the call that he had contracted leukemia. And it happened really fast. I never got to see him again. But that man changed my life.
Well,
so I like
to think that people like that come into our lives, whether it's long period of time or short period of time, and they seem to be able to help us get through those speed bumps, then those are our angels. We're all angels for each other at one point or another. Kind of like before we come down to this earth, let's say we're in heaven and we're standing in line, like in college, registering for classes. And, he's standing behind you and he's like, "You know what? I did this last time around. I'm going to be in your neck of the woods at that time. So, hey, if we bump each other, let's help each other out."
Yeah.
And then they're the people that come in and you feel like you know them and they help you out. And then they're gone. Those are our angels. I strongly believe that.
I do too. That's why I believe in mentorship. That's why part of what I do, like with this film festival and everything that supposedly we're raising money for. By the way, it's on the crawl. There's a support our
Yes, down below. Yes.
Go to the link. Give a donation so that I can continue mentoring, because a lot of what we do, and especially in my partnership with my friend Juan works a lot with kids. And he works with teaching them how to make their own films, and that is so cool and so rewarding. I've done sessions with him. We go out there to East LA with these cute little kids. They're 10, 12 years old. They write their own scripts, and we help them shoot them and edit them and stuff like that. And then we run their little masterpieces as part of the film festival.
Dude, I was going to talk to you about this after the episode. I was going to say, that's what I'm trying to work on up here. I was asked, because of the movie Turnover and going to the film festivals, when we were at the one in Isle de Wild, I met with some big people, and it was a director's party with Martina. I went with her, and I got to meet Nia Peebles. And I couldn't look at her. She was so beautiful. And I was looking at the two
I have that
gentlemen.
problem with Alicia Keys.
Oh, yeah. so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this gentleman who's the director of Love Boat and Magnum PI and all this. And the gentleman is putting on the festival over here, and she's in the middle, and she's cornered in the corner of the kitchen. I mean, we cornered her by accident. And she kind of leans in after a few seconds. She goes, "Hi, I'm Nia Peebles, and you are." I'm like, "Hi, I'm Doc Skinner." And she goes, "And what do you do?" And we're at a director's producers party. So, of course, I say, "Well, I'm a producer director." And she goes, "So what are you working on?" Without missing a beat, Carlos, this is the only time I've ever done anything stupid like this. "Oh, I got this great film. I think it'd be perfect for it." And she goes, "Really? What's it about?" And I went, I said, "Have you ever wanted to fly?" And she goes, "On hallucinogens?" I'm like, no, like skydiving, indoor skydiving. And I start telling her this story, literally on the fly, right there in front of all these people. And I start making this story up because I'm trying to impress new people, right? Because, oh my gosh, she's just so beautiful. And then I left. She gave me her number. She goes, "I want to be a part of the project." And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So I got her number. And I'm leaving. I'm so, I got her phone number, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to figure out and learn about this sport called indoor skydiving. And I worked on it for a few months, and I knocked the script out in about 2 weeks after all the research. And then I asked the local high school up here if I could use it for the film, and told them it was actually a trilogy. And they were like, "Yeah, you could use this for all 3 films if you want. That'd be great." And he goes, "By the way, Doc, would you be, if I was to open up a film department here at the high school, would you be interested in being the director?" And I was like, wait, what? I came here to borrow the school. But I was like, okay. And then I was a little embarrassed because I hadn't finished college due to some medical stuff with my mom. And I said, I haven't finished college. And he goes, "It's an elective. You've got 35 plus years. You can do it." I was like, "And I can get paid?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why hasn't anybody told me this? I would have done this years ago." So the whole idea was, during the semester, I would do that, teach them the writing. Everybody would pick a story idea. We'd vote, and then we'd do the writing, pre-production, everything. And we would make that film, like you were saying, and then put it into Martinez Film Festival here. Mm-hmm. That way these kids would realize you don't have to go to Hollywood to make movies or be a movie actor or anything. And now you don't have to buy all the expensive equipment, with the kids at least, because you can use iPhones. They're just as good.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to talk to you about, maybe collaborating on something in that field of film. What do you call it? Film camp, like a film camp thing.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to talk to you about that as well. Martina, of course, is still here. She says, "It is a go for a meeting for you, Doc, to do the
Ooh.
Martina, okay. You're awesome. Martina's amazing. Right. She's my mentor, actually. I've told everybody that. And because of her pulling,
good mentor to have.
Oh yeah. And because of her, really pulling at me to be in Turnover, that opened up so many doors. And that took me to the film festival in Ottawa. And that's what encouraged Fly. And that's what I wrote the script. And by the way, I won a script award for that last year at the film festival as well. So I owe her a lot.
Congratulations.
I thank you. I owe her a lot. And
I work for food,
Really? I'm up here on the mountain. We got storable food. We're preppers. I got some soybean burgers and all kinds of good stuff. Look, Carlos, man, I adore you, man. You're just such a great guy, and I love doing this. I want to, literally, we're going to talk about doing something in the future, little more than just doing an interview. So thank you so much. I don't normally go this long, but
oh my God, this has been great.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more I wanted to ask you. I mean, I just can't say enough how much Blood In, Blood Out really affected me today.
That is really profound. I
just want to say thank you.
Because it is, as you have discovered, this really multifaceted world in that film, and it's about so many different things. And you hit on one of them right away: family, and loyalty, and brotherhood, and it's just so much. I'm glad. Listen, I'm happy to do this again anytime. Okay?
Well, thank you, sir, and we will. I mean, did you notice that you were in my opening trailer from the last time we did the red carpet?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's always fun doing red carpets with you too. So and Martina says our movie is entered into your festival, Carlos. Ooh,
I saw that.
there
Yes.
we go. There we
We
go.
must chat about that.
Yeah.
So listen, let me just, I know we're going to get off, but I have to do the pitch one more time.
Do it twice.
Yes, we are trying to raise funds to be able to do this festival again, and the link is right there, crawling by on the bottom of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Supportourstory.com, Panafest 22. And if you see that, if you just click on the link, you'll see a video of that we put together about past festivals and things that we do. You get to see the kids in there making their little movies and things. So and the community and how excited they get about this. That's my reward. I don't make any money doing this. It's really about the joy that we can bring to the community and offering them that platform, letting them see when the kids see their films up on the big screen.
Dude,
Man,
that's the joy right there, is seeing the elation that they feel. It's like, I did that.
Yes, I did. Look at that. Oh my God. And then, 20 years from now, they'll be making a big studio film. And if I'm still around, hopefully they'll invite me to the catering, So,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is great. Let's do it again. Hey, everybody, go to the link and anything you can, $5, support our story so we can get this festival on the boards again this year. Thanks, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you. Now, hold on until we sign off, okay? We'll do our goodbyes. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Carrasco, legend. This is just such an awesome episode. Please, if you can, throw some change their way. Let's help them out and get this festival going, help the community out. It's a great cause. I'm really excited about it. And remember, folks, as long as we all lift each other up, we will all rise together. I'm Captain Doc Skinner on board the Starship Pariah, and this is the Doc Force. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight, and thanks again to Carlos Carrasco. I will see you all tomorrow. Ciao bella.
Bye-bye.